This is the first year we've had the banquet on a Friday night. We're a little worried about having some late arrivers. We got the traffic report from Juliet and Smar, and I think everybody just about made it. We may have some stragglers, but thank y'all for being here. Welcome. Happy Father's Day to all the Father's Day weekend, to all the fathers. My name is Jim Harden, and on behalf of the Board of Directors for the Forsyth Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, welcome. I've been warned, anybody that's getting honored tonight, in any way, y'all stay here, don't leave after the program's over. We're going to do pictures, okay? So I've been threatened if people leave, it's going to be my fault. So please hang around and don't go anywhere. Everybody should have a program. There should be plenty of them if you want to take one home as a keepsake. On page 3 of the program is kind of let you know how everything's going to flow tonight. Also on page 3, if you don't know the first verse of God Bless America, shame on you. But we're going to sing in a minute. If you need the words, they're on page 3. So I'm just kidding. I'm not sure I know them all either. In your program, we have banners up here. We have some great sponsors that support us with the Hall of Fame, and I'm not going to list them all, but they're in the program. If you have an opportunity to support our sponsors, please do. We appreciate their support. Let's give a big hand to all our sponsors of the Hall of Fame. We got a great meal tonight, thanks to Her Majesty Catering. They're here again this year. This is our 7th induction banquet. I think, no, our sixth. It would have been the 7th if we hadn't missed one for COVID. We'll induct our 49th member of the Hall of Fame tonight. Where's Keith Edge? There's still a chance, Keith. You might get in next year. You might be the 50th. Speaking of Keith, thanks to Keith and Ricky. Some people don't know his name, Ricky Wilson. His real name's Hot Dog. They called him Ricky. The Sports Mic team, they're live streaming the audio of the program tonight on Sports Mic. Most of y'all know they do the Married Persons games in the fall, do the coaches show on Monday night in the fall. So we appreciate Keith and Ricky. We had a gentleman, a lot of y'all know, I just wanted to mention him. He passed away in February, Mr. Franklin Gardner. We started the Hall of Fame about 8 years ago. Mr. Gardner was very much supportive. His class, I think class of 1956, did a sponsorship for the banquet every year up until this year. And anyway, we're going to remember Mr. Franklin Gardner tonight. He passed away in February. He reminded us all and taught us all that Married Persons actually had a football team before Dan Pitt showed up. So some of y'all don't believe that. I didn't realize that either. But Mr. Gardner was a great guy, and he'll be missed. On page 15 of your program, there is a list of all the past inductees, the current members of the Sports Hall of Fame. And I know there's some of them here. I don't know which ones of them are here, but we're honored that you are here. And if you're a current member, a past inductee of the Hall of Fame, please stand up and be recognized. Allow us to recognize you. I know y'all are here. I'm shocked that Reggie Mays didn't stand up. I thought you were going to come give a speech when I started talking about the passing day. I don't think all of them stood up. They're too modest. But thank y'all for being here. We're honored you're here. And we also, we've had some folks we inducted that had passed away before we inducted and passed away since we inducted them. So I think a couple of their families are here, and we appreciate y'all being here too. I'd like to introduce our board members. Most of these people that I'm going to introduce are founding board members. We started putting together the Hall of Fame about 8 years ago, and they're not all here either tonight, but the first person I want to recognize, Mr. Ralph Moore. His group, again for this year, A Taste of Jazz. I give him a hard time all the time. Year round, I bug him. You going to do the music again this year at the Hall of Fame? And he always comes through. But he's a board member, and they're graciously providing the music tonight. So thank you so much, Ralph. Appreciate it. I'll ask the board members to stand up. Y'all can hold your applause to the end. Mary Frances Chambliss, she's here. Steve Coleman, he'll stand up. Steve, Herbert Gant, Richard Dumas, Karen, I actually knew her when her name was Karen Barker. Karen KB Ayers. She's KB to everybody. She's here. Nolan Howard. Nolan's here. Penny Pitts Mitchell in the pink dress back there. And Bob Harris is a founding member of the board. He's not here. And Bobby Melton, their office is kind of our de facto headquarters. We have our board meeting, so we appreciate them. Bob's on vacation. And Bobby Melton has been under the weather. Bobby's had some health issues, and y'all please keep Bobby in your thoughts and prayers. If you know Bobby, this Hall of Fame wouldn't exist without Bobby. He is the biggest, he's a sports historian. I mean, he's the biggest supporter of sports in this county probably, and we're sad. I know he's sad he couldn't be here, but y'all please keep Bobby in your prayers, and hopefully he'll be up and going full speed again soon. We are gonna, Penny always gives me a hard time because I ramble and don't say, what am I, anybody got, we're about to, y'all get ready for God Bless America. Pull out the words. You don't have to be ashamed if you don't know. And then Ricky Niblett going to come and have the blessing. We're going to, it's a buffet style, and if I could ask if this year's inductees and their families, excuse me, if you could let them go first through the line. If that makes sense, and everybody go through behind him. We're going to give everybody a little while just to fellowship, enjoy dinner, and without somebody up here talking at the podium, then we'll kind of come back together and start the main part of the program. Yeah, why don't everybody stand? And I'm not the guy to lead the singing here, so we're going to let these guys. God bless America.
God bless America. Beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, might as well. God bless America. God
told you I wasn't one to lead the singing, but we found somebody that could. Thank you. Got to run, Rick.
While everyone's standing, now that everyone is standing, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for this time of recognition and celebration. And Lord, we're all grateful for this community in which we were raised in and for what we can give back to it. Lord, we'd ask that you be with all of the prayer requests, especially Bobby and his illness, but also we have friends and neighbors and family that needs prayer as well, so we lift all of them up into you. Father, we'd ask you to bless the food that has been prepared. May it strengthen and nourish our bodies and our bodies to thy service. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We got such a good turnout tonight. Frankly, we didn't quite plan for enough people. I think hopefully everybody get through the line, get some food, but it's not Her Majesty's fault that we're a little squeezed on the food tonight. They do a great job, so that's the Hall of Fame's fault. So we appreciate them tonight. And I told you I wasn't going. I know there's still some people eating. I told you we weren't going to be up here talking to you while you were eating, but I guess I lied. We need to get started. I know some of y'all want to get home. Frank said he's got a DQ Blizzard waiting at the station. He's got to do the news here in a couple hours. So, but thank you for your patience, and we appreciate Her Majesty. And again, we appreciate all y'all being here. We were worried we wouldn't have as good a crowd on a Friday night, but this is great. And if we don't say it enough, thank you for coming. Every year we recognize 2 scholar athletes from Mary Persons High School. And the 2 winners of the Marcus Whitehead Scholar Athlete Award this year. The first, I'll ask them to come up here one at a time, and her name is in the program. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name. She told me how to do it, but she told me to call her Maya, so I'm going to do that. But come on up here, Maya. Come on up. If y'all... anybody lives around the county and pays attention to sports knows about this young lady. She's a basketball star, a track star, and she must be pretty smart.
Yeah.
I hope she's smart. She's getting the Smart Scholar Athlete Award. No, it's great. We appreciate you being here. It's our honor to honor you. She's going to Kennesaw State.
Yes, sir.
In the fall, and wants to get in the medical profession in some form or fashion. And so Maya Barkley, congratulations.
Thank you.
On being the Marcus Whitehead Scholar Athlete. We honor a male and a female, and she's obviously the female. She's a very pretty young lady. There he is. Eric and Nicole are her parents, right? Y'all stand up and be recognized. All right, our male winner, he's not as pretty, but he's still a pretty nice looking guy. Mr. Logan Higman, come on up here, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead and give you your medal. Logan, once again, if you've been paying attention to sports around Monroe County the last 3 or 4 years, he has been pretty much a 4-year starter at quarterback for Mary Persons, which is a pretty big deal. He's holds several school records, single game career records. He also was a track guy and played golf, even played a little baseball early in his career. And he's going to attend the University of Georgia. University of Georgia, in case y'all didn't know, it's a lot harder to get into than it was back when I was coming along. So you actually got to be smart. But very proud of them. Honored y'all are here. Best wishes to both of y'all in the future, and congratulations. Y'all get a picture. And I'll ask Logan's parents, Stan and Blair, to stand up and be recognized. We've also got a couple of grandparents like that back there too. And one of them is a lot better looking than the other one. We, a couple years ago, we started honoring, we call it the Mary Linda and Dan Pitts Extra Mile Award. We honor sort of a community service award that's sports, athletic related. And this year we got 2 recipients of that award. And we're going to kind of, since we got 2, I want to make sure this flows right and we give them their due. I'm going to ask, it's Pop Mays and Wayne Pippin are the 2 recipients. But I'd like to ask Pop Mays to come up, and Kip Burdett and Brandon Ogletree are going to come up and say a word about them. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. It gives me pleasure to say a few words about a man that stands in small stature, but big at heart. He has a great love for the game of football, and I had the opportunity to play on his Little League football team. A few attributes that stick out to me about Coach Pop: he was consistent and he genuinely cared about his kids. The Oilers was a family, and our motto was, once an Oiler, always an Oiler. Coaching is unlocking a person's potential to maximize their growth. Coach Pop did that. He took coaching very serious. He was a great father figure for many. His goals was to get us ready to be a Bulldog. He has never forgotten his players. He has never forgotten his players. He followed us throughout our entire football career and also in adulthood. Coach Pop, you're a great man with a great heart. We appreciate the time, talent, support, and the service you have given to this community. Thank you.
Like I said, I'm Kip Burdett. Brandon and I played for Coach Pop for the 10, 11, and 12-year-old Oilers in the mid-90s. So it's a pleasure and an honor to stand up here in front of with Brandon and Coach Pop and with this honor that he's about to receive tonight. One of the most important things that any community can have is someone that's willing to sacrifice their time for the betterment of the youth. My granddaddy told me a long time ago that one of the reasons that Football and Forsyth was so strong because our feeder programs had so many good men and good coaches that cared more about developing young men than they did about winning games, and that that was one of the reasons everything stayed so strong for so many years. Well, one of the things I thought was so special about being an Oiler was that, number one, you got a shiny gold helmet. That was kind of unique to that league. So we set ourselves apart. And then once you played for Coach Pop, you were one of Coach Pop's boys. Like Brandon said, once an Oiler, always an Oiler. It didn't matter if you played in 1985 or 2005. Coach Pop has continued to keep up with me and all of his boys throughout my college and coaching career. 2 things that Coach Pop always emphasized, and he still tells me, calls me on the phone and sees when I was at Mary Parsons, come see me at practice, but And I'm going to quote him, is about the discipline and fundamentals. So that's something that stuck with me and something that I try to keep close to me in my coaching career. So we appreciate Coach Pop's sacrifice and all the years that he spent giving his time to the young men of Forsyth and Monroe County. Coach Pop's well deserved. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. I just want to say a few words. I could stand up here and talk all day, but it always a beginning. And I got my start with football in 1960, being the Hubble High Tiger manager, 1960. This 2023. So it's been a long struggle, but it's not about Coach Park, it's about the community, it's about Monroe County Society. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my 67 classmates. I want to thank Mr. Hubble Gant for thinking about this. Like I said, not about Coach Pop, it's about Forsyth and Monroe County. And I always believe we need to start it down here. Start at home, and God will bless. And I always put God in your life, and I always tell my kids, pray first. Aim high and stay focused, and God will bless you. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you. Congratulations, Pop. Both our second award winner is in this category is Wayne Pippin. Both these guys had a long resume. They coached a lot of guys that went on and did things not only in sports but in other areas, and that's great. So thanks, Pop. Our second recipient of the Mary Linda and Dan Pitts Extra Mile Award, and I think Ricky Niblett's going to come up here and say a few words, and I'll ask Mr. Wayne Pippin to come up.
In the early 1970s, 70, 71, Monroe County had a Little League baseball program that included one field and 4 teams. The Dodgers, the Astros, the Braves, and then there were the Cardinals. My daddy started coaching in that year, and Wayne followed shortly behind him to help him. And for decades, Cardinals won many championships. And there was, I don't know whether this is politically correct to say or not in this day and time, but if you played on that baseball team with these men, you earned it. There wasn't any, just because you're on the team you're going to play deal. It was you were going to earn every time you were on the field. I can just imagine from the decades that Wayne has coached the Little League program and the many kids that have come back to thank him for what he done for them and so on and so forth. This county is very blessed. That era that I was talking about, the Monroe County JC's done everything. And there was a small group of kids that got their start there in all the Little League programs, and it was guys like Wayne Evans and Pop Mays and others that made sure us kids got what we needed to be successful as we got into junior, high school, college, and in whatever other career we chose to be in. I want to thank Wayne for what he's done for this community, and this is just a small token of the county's appreciation for what he's done.
Y'all get a picture. Say a word or two, sir. Mr. Copeland.
The biggest motto we had with the Cardinals, if you could chew chewing gum and walk, you could play for us. That's what it boiled down to. Thanks, everybody.
Wayne's a great guy. I was not a Cardinal. I always got the feeling when you're on the other team, Wayne was trying to whoop you. Every year we recognize a team from the past in a particular sport. This year we're recognizing cheerleaders. I'm going to ask Penny Pitts Mitchell to come up here and recognize our team of the year. Thank you, Penny.
I can't believe he said that. You're outnumbered tonight. When I was in high school, my dad told me I needed to really get serious in golf or tennis because I couldn't be a cheerleader all of my life, and I guess I showed him because I'm still in cheerleading. All right, we want to celebrate our cheerleaders tonight from our three schools, Hubbard, Monroe, and Mary Persons. It's almost every American high school on Friday nights, Saturdays, Tuesdays, whatever day it is that you have those sports. You see cheerleaders on the sideline and on the court. If you think back to your high school days, I bet you can remember who the cheerleaders were. Or if somebody calls a name, you might say, yeah, she was a cheerleader when I was in high school. So there you remember those people, whether or not you think it's a sport or not. One thing about it is cheerleaders are very passionate about their role in sports. If you don't believe that, just ask them. So tonight, first of all, there are lots of cheerleaders in this room. It's been a great reunion for all of us. If you are a cheerleader in the 50s or before that, would you please stand? Do we have anybody here? Yay. If you are a cheerleader in the 60s, if you'll stand, 60s, 1960s? 1960s? There's something. Okay, 1970s. 1970s, that would be me. Yay, 70s. Okay, in the 1980s, 80s, any cheerleaders? There we go. And 1990s, in the 90s, cheerleaders in the 90s? Yay, good job. Okay. And the year 2000 to 2010? And then 2010 to the present. Okay. All right. The Mary Persons had a team that went to Nashville to compete with Coach Trish. She was Herndon at the time. Ship is her last name now, which she is a judge for Georgia High School Association. And that was, I think, in 1988. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there anyone here from that team? Stand up. I used to have that picture in my office. I don't know what happened to that picture. Monroe Academy had a team that traveled to Dallas to compete in 2002 for National Cheerleading Association. And Misty Ton and Jan Curtis were the coaches. I saw Jan, if she'll stand. And anyone else on that team? In 1993 and 94, the GHSA added competitive cheerleading to their list of athletic championships. In the school year 2001-2002, Mary Persons fielded their very first competitive team. I want to introduce those to you now. I didn't realize that so many of these cheerleaders live so far away, so a lot of them couldn't be here. But if you will come to the podium, please. Brooke Stewart Haddon, Annie Evans Horn, Stephanie Coleman Anthony, she is, Brittany Dennis Rogers, Jennifer Carter Williams, Maggie Wilson Dungan, Gigi Houston, Shamika White, Crystal Gant Neal. Crystal here. Alex Dillon, Nikki Renfro, Nicole Hughley Little, Jessica Bell, Stephanie Gillibo, Jamie Burgess White, Emily Crawford Bradley, Kellen Millwood Odom, Alex Byers Weathersby, and Darla Goodrich Halton. Those were the 20 cheerleaders that were on that team. And I was their coach.
Yes, you were.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Yes, it is a sport. Wait a minute, I meant to say, if you are a cheerleader in college, you know, Megan, I had to bring you out. If you're a cheerleader in college, could please stand. The best athlete in the family.
Here it is. Here it is. And if you missed that, Penny was the coach and still is the coach. Still is a coach. And there's several people here that knew me when I was a kid that will testify that I was a big fan of cheerleaders when I was younger. And I promise you some of them are a lot better athletes than I was. So there's no debate about, I did say there's no debate. We're not going to debate the deal about it being a sport. It's a sport, okay.
Forget the intro, we're good.
Frank, you in a hurry to get that blizzard?
I gotta work. Get on the stage.
Hey, Frank.
You ain't digging yourself out.
He doesn't need an intro
No,
anyway.
thank God.
42 years at
Yeah,
WMAZ.
woo.
He's older than me. Frank Malloy.
Lordy. You are not digging yourself out of that hole, my friend. Could not believe you said that. Oh, my. Woo! Bless him. All right. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here, Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame 2023. And how about a Friday night? Because we all know in Monroe County, Friday nights are always special. Yeah. Woo. 9 weeks from tonight, they're special. We go football Friday night one more year. 9 weeks from tomorrow, Mary Persons opens up a new football season. Yeah. Hey, I like the musical. Can you come with me to work? All righty. We got 8 inductees. Inductees, I'm not going to tell you can't talk for a long time, but I do have to be back for a 10 o'clock newscast, and my co-anchor is on vacation. So, Toby and Brian, you may have to introduce yourselves, okay? But we're going to roll with it. All right, first inductee. All right, you look in your program and you start to see things about this person, you say, that can't be true. But then when you arrive at the event and you look at that person, you say, I can believe everything that's in the program. Our first inductee, back in the 40s, once finished second in a region track meet running barefoot after getting knocked down in the race. 1 year later, I assume wearing shoes, he captured the Class C state championship 4 minutes and 47 seconds back in the 40s. That was flying. Another thing you will notice in his biography says that over 60 years ago, he met his wife while stopping to eat with his teammates following a basketball game in Macon. Wow, that must have been some restaurant. Yes, and there's also something in the bio about his legs, which I really don't think I want to dwell on. First inductee, class of 2023, Smitty Driscoll. Come on up, my friend.
You gonna talk for me?
No, I want you to talk, Mr. Bill. Hey, I want to get a picture right here.
All right.
Look at here. I'll hold this for you. I want you to give a big
I
long
need all the
speech.
pictures I can get.
Go ahead.
Well, I got some notes made for y'all. I want to read a few of them to you. A lot of things happened to me in my life, and especially when I was an athlete in high school. Back then, we didn't have but 11 grades, you know, and we were lucky to get. I was lucky to get to work a whole lot. My dad kept me out of school to work. We hauled lumber from the sawmills to town, and had the school sent the man down there and said, "Mr. Driscoll, this boy's got to go to school." My dad said, "Ken, Smitty, what did he say?" I said, "He said I had to go to school." Dad reached down and picked up a piece of lumber, and started at him. I said, "Mister, you better go, he's going to hurt you." So I didn't get to go to school that much. But I had a lot of help in school. But let's see, I got some notes here. Oh, they only had 11 grades when I went to school. That was the last year they had 11 grades. And so that was in 1949. That's a long time ago. I'm an old man. 91 years old. Now, getting to the athletic part of it, I had a coach called Barney Davis, and he was good. He coached football, basketball, and track, and he taught school. He was a fine person. One of the highlights of my life in my school days. Of course, if I didn't go to school, he'd help me get my lessons for that night or that day I missed, and I could catch up. In 1948, now, that's a long time ago, y'all. Long time ago. I won our region and went over to Athens to the state. 1949 now. 48. And had 19 of us in the race. 10 in front, 10 in the back. I'm looking back up a little bit. 10 in front and 9 in the back. And they blew the whistle and we started off running. I mean, we were taking off, buddy. We got around to the last 440, and I looked up, had on my boy from Druid Hill to about 25 yards in front of the group I was running in. I pulled out and I started turning on, and the boy hit me in the back of my right leg with his shoe, and we went to the ground, me and him both. When I come back up, I turned it on, and when we crossed the goal line, I could have touched that boy from Druid Hill on the back. I placed second. But I got more praises than he got that year. Now, when I was in the 11th grade, finished grade, 11th grade, went back over there. Of course, I was the star of the whole thing then. Everybody said, "Oh, he's going to win it." And I did, y'all. I walked off and I left it. Run it in 4 minutes and 47 seconds. And I was not only proud of myself, but everybody was patting me on the back. Thank you.
Yeah. Woo. Oh, Smitty. Gotta love it. Yeah. All right. Our next inductee liked to hit people. Flat out just liked to hit people. He did it as a safety while he was at Mary Persons. During his 3 years there, the team lost only 3 games. Then he didn't get enough hitting on the field. He decided to go into the boxing ring, where he competed in an amateur boxing match and eventually earned a way to the Gold Gloves. Then he went overseas as a member of the United States Air Force, where he played semi-pro football. They let him run the ball there, but he continued to hit people, knocking them into the end zone as he scored 7 touchdowns in a single game. Then went on to have a distinguished career in the U.S. Air National Guard. And he's a runner, too. Did a half marathon in under an hour and 50 minutes. I don't think I could drive a half marathon in under an hour and 50. All right, next member, Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame class of 2023. Come on, Mr. Percy Freeman, bring it on up here.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I thought Frank was ready to leave, but I'm going to have to make some corrections. No, I did not go to the Golden Gloves.
No.
No, I did
You
not.
did box, didn't you?
I did box.
See? And you were good, weren't you?
Exhibition only.
Ah, good stuff.
Yes. Everything else you said is good. Well, I'll try to be quick as possible, but I just want to say that it won't be short like Wayne. It won't be extemporaneous like Reggie Mays. And I won't be using my phone like Brandon. And Frank, I just need about 7 minutes.
You go.
Okay, all right. First, I'd like to say that I'm truly honored to be here as an inductee, Psych Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame. And thanks so much to the board members for selecting me. To my family, friends, Bulldog teammates here this evening, I am eternally grateful for your support and friendship. And those 2 tables over there, table back there, and they're all over the place. Will all the Bulldogs here stand up, please, just for a moment? All the Bulldogs, please stand up. Thank you. Thanks to the late Coach Dan Pitts, Coaches Dumas, Love, Cook, Gassis, and other coaches for their skills and contributions to our winning seasons and personal growth as young men. Thanks to my former Aviano Eagles coaches John Droke and Randall Bertrand and the NIFL, Northern Italian Football League teams, for the great memories and adventures of a lifetime. To the late Mr. Edward Williams II and the late Mr. Edgar Slaughter Sr., I say thank you for giving me a ride to and from football practice during my 4 years at Mary Persons High School. You were there for me when I needed you. To Gene Boozer Brown and the Slaughter family, Edgar, Henry, Kenneth, thank you for allowing me to stay in your home. It was a difficult time in my life, and your family came through, and I really appreciate that. Tony Robbins said, "Your current situation does not determine your future. Your future is determined by your decision to succeed." After my 14th birthday and mandatory integration of Monroe County school system, I attended football summer camp at Mary Persons High School under the leadership of Coach Pitts. This was my first participation in organized football. When I spoke to Mr. Bennett earlier, he said he remembered us playing beside the highway at 83 and 87 in the grass. So, good memory. When we attended football camp, it was the first time, again, integration. We shared communal showers together, ate meals together, and slept on military folding cots in the gymnasium. I slept on a cot near Edward Elvis Williams III, who entertained us nightly before the lights went out. He sang Elvis Presley songs, Blue Suede Shoes, as I recall. Some team members developed friendships that still continue today. 1 year earlier, we lived in a culture that enforced segregated schools, pools, restaurants, diners, laundromats, and restrooms. In camp, I recall the hard work, summer heat, wind sprints, and more wind sprints. I enjoyed the competition, team meetings, discussions, diversity, and camaraderie. Some of you may remember the Oklahoma drills. Those drills prepared me for encountering barriers. We worked well together because we shared a common goal to win games. Yes, we are members of the teams that contributed to the winning history of Coach Dan Pitts. In the words of Michael Jordan, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. As a member of the 1970 B team, we ended the season with a 10-0 record, including defeat of Pike County's varsity team during their inaugural season. In '71, I started as a defensive safety on the varsity team as a substitute running back. In 3 years, we won 26 games, lost 4, and tied 1. 3 of my favorite memories are intercepting a game-changing pass against Telfair County, scoring a touchdown against Manchester, one of our biggest rivalries, and Monticello. In that same game against Monticello, Edgar Slaughter, right there, intercepted a pass and ran it back for a touchdown, 25 yards. I remember that. One of my worst memories is sitting on the sideline with an injured wrist in 1973 while Paul Ross, a 200-pound fullback from Peach County, exploded and ran for 240 yards and 4 touchdowns. That was an important region game for us. We lost that game, and our season ended 9-1 our senior year. Several Monroe County citizens suggested the Mary Persons football teams were the greatest contributors to the successful integration of the school system. Friday night lights created an atmosphere of unity and support. In other words, the Bulldogs became the glue that held the community together. Henry Ford once said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." After graduating in '74, I joined the United States Air Force and was assigned tours of duty in Colorado, Florida, and England. I transferred to Aviano, Italy in '77. Upon arrival is when I learned about the Northern Italian Football League semi-professional teams. I'm trying to skip a little bit for you there, Frank. The teams were primarily comprised of military servicemen, some of whom had played professional football in the NFL, some of whom had played college football, and some, like me, played high school football. The big difference is some of those guys played military football for several years, so they were more experienced than a lot of the college and professional players. The league actually started in 1946 and ended in '93, so many of the records that I broke will never be broken because the league no longer exists. During the spring of '77, at age 21, I tried out and was selected to play for the Aviano Eagles as a running back, receiver, kick returner, and safety. I also served as one of the 4 team captains for 2 seasons. In the Northern Italian Football League, I quickly realized I was playing football with grown men who had several years of experience and very good insurance. After the commander of the 509th Airborne Rangers parachuted out of a helicopter and landed dead center at 50-yard line with the game ball, I thought, this is a different league. If you were chased by 11 members of the 509th Airborne Rangers or Camp Darby Rangers who are trained killers that remind you of Paul Ross clones, you too would run for your life. There was no concussion protocol, so you may ask, what are the signs of a concussion? Does he just got his bell rung, or why am I seeing stars sound familiar? I recall one game in Pisa, Italy. You know, that's the city with the Leaning Tower. It was televised, and there were approximately 13,500 fans present. It was awesome and an unforgettable experience. I kept copies of the Stars and Stripes newspaper articles from my glory days, periodically reviewed and shared them for nostalgia's sake. After attending the 2022 Forsyth Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame banquet with my fiance, Joan Whitehead, she said, 7 touchdowns in 1 game, that's amazing. So she nominated me for the 2023 Hall of Fame based on my contributions to the winning seasons at Mirror Persons and the record-setting performances in Italy. Thank you, Dr. Joan Freeman. Almost there, Frank. While serving as an FAA special agent for 20 years and a member of the Georgia Air National Guard and United States Air Force for a total of 32 years, I received personal satisfaction from sharing information with elementary and high school students on career days. I did not speak to them about sports. More importantly, I encouraged them to avoid peer pressure, criminal activity that would prevent them from limiting or achieving their goals. In addition, I encouraged them to read more and become critical thinkers. In closing, Helen Keller reminded us, alone we can do little, together we can do much. Today, more than ever, to remain a team, America needs more critical thinkers and togetherness. Again, thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Percy. You're talking about critical thinkers. Our next inductee, definitely a critical thinker. She was also a basketball star. Fired up, Hubbard Tigers, fired up. Dolores Harmon, primarily a defensive player, but she could do it all. She earned a basketball scholarship to Fort Valley State University, finished with degrees in mathematics and physics. Used those to go on to work for the Apollo and Friendship capsules as a space analyst for McDonnell Douglas. Then formed her own information and technology firm, consultant for numerous major corporations around the country and around the globe, and also in her spare time decided, why don't I also coach youth soccer? She has done it all, and tonight she earns induction into the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, Dolores Harmon.
excuse me, guys, I'm not 91 yet, but I just had an operation less than 2 months ago on my back. So things are going very, very well. And, but I'm here, and I wanted to be here to celebrate this honor with all the other honorees. The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Proverbs 16:9. You can only plan and prepare to be the best of your abilities, but ultimately, it is up to the Lord to establish your steps. I would like to thank the Forsyth Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame Selection Committee for my selection as an inductee in the Sports Hall of Fame. I do consider it an honor. Also, thanks to the late Marcus Whitehead for the nomination and relentless pursuit to say, Dolores, just write it up, just write it up. In his hospital room, it was, Dolores, just go write it up, write it up. And then when he passed, Herbert picked up the mantle and went and passed the nomination in. Our history makes us who we are and why we are the way we are. I am so pleased with what the Forsyth Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame is doing here in highlighting athletes in many ways might have never been known or would have been forgotten. So this is a way, not many communities do this. This is phenomenal. And I see that a lot of communities try and emulate some of the things that Monroe County does. And I am so proud of Monroe County. I live in Atlanta, but I am so proud of what you guys are doing here. Black history must be told. I am a historian. I might be a mathematician. I love numbers, but I'm a historian, a critical thinker. And a lot of things that I do, I write. I read a lot. So I do a lot of things like that. I never knew there were other black mathematicians in the space program until the movie Hidden Figures came out. In high school at Hubbard, advanced mathematics was not taught. When my parents and 5 other families petitioned the Monroe County Board of Education, they were told no expansion of the curriculum in the Negro school, no expansion. So no advanced math could be taught. So these 5 parents got together and went to Tift College to find a tutor to come in to teach these students, these 5 students, mathematics, advanced math. So James Love, Mr. Love, one of the inductees, was a math teacher, an awesome math teacher. So he came and they hired him to come and teach us advanced math, calculus and trigonometry. Growing up here in a segregated South, even though blacks were appalled by the segregation as separate, it was not equal. I watched Monroe Academy come into existence in 1970 because the students and their families did not want to go to school with the Negro children. They didn't want to be educated with us. So these schools and these academies sprang up all over the United States from the 14 southern states, from Oklahoma to West Virginia. Academies, academies, academies everywhere. In school, we had lots of used books and used furniture. When we got these books, a lot of them had words and scratches and torn. And we went to the colonial store and got the bags, and we would come back and cover our books with those bags. Content was the same. Math, no matter what you are, what color you are, what ethnic you are, the numbers are numbers no matter where you go. So it didn't change for me. We had to cover these books with these paper bags. And in 1955, the Hubbard School Gymnasium burned down. It was not until 1963, 8 years later, that the Negro Gym was built at Hubbard School. Noting the separate but unequal gave the Negro child a better perspective as to who we were and who we could be. I was always encouraged by my family, my teacher, and the community. I was a reader, a writer, a speaker, inquisitive, an independent thinker, and I had a head for numbers. Had no idea where numbers could take me, nor the mastering of a slide rule. This is a slide rule. This is what I use as a calculator. They didn't have, these kids now use calculators. I use this. I use this at McDonnell Douglas, working on the space capsule. McDonnell Douglas is an aeronautical company, and again, I worked as a mathematician calculating for the NASA Apollo and Friendship space program. I had a top secret clearance. In 1963, when the new Hubbard Gymnasium was built, Forsyth, Monroe County was the talk of the region. Everybody wanted to come and play with us because we had this magnificent, beautiful gym. I had been playing basketball with my brother, James Henry, and cousins, including several of your past honorees. Frank Redding, my first cousin, Jimmy Watts. Alvin Toll was a little tank. He played with us, but he was little and he was a strong tank. He and his brother Emmanuel, and coached by J.P. Evans. My brother and I had a basketball goal at home, and we played challenge games across the community. We were Barnesville Road, and we played Belltown, and we played Blunt Hill. And they called it the Hill because Culloden Road and Blunt Hill played together. Had to have someone to help beat Frank Redding and all of us. But I was the only girl on the team, so they allowed me to play on the team. So consequently, when the school, the gymnasium opened in 1963, I was a tank. You know, nobody could stop me because I had been playing with the boys. Then they told me I had to play with the girls. So that was all right with me because now I'm a real defensive tank. So all went well. I also ran track, and I ran the 200 meters and the 4x4 relay. So Miss Barkley, wherever you are in here, you're my cousin, following in your footsteps, girl. Go for it. My parents, James Son Moore, worked at Warner Robins Air Force Base as an aircraft jet mechanic. He was a bondsman and a bailiff. My mom, Mary Moore, was the Hubbard School cafeteria manager. In my youth, I chose to sit at the feet of my ancestors. I chose to ask questions and write the answers down. I chose to take pictures. My mother bought me a Brownie camera when I was 11 years old. And I chose to record history all around me. A person does not have to leave their neighborhood to find history. It is all around us. Ask questions, seize the moment. Every day history is being made. Capture it. I did. I coached soccer for my son, Joshua, at the Atlanta Youth Soccer Association for more than 12 years, at 2 seasons a year. I trained and got up to a FIFA Class B certification. I was also assistant coach for Joshua's track and field. I taught him the running long jump. And as he and his team won the 4x4 relay, they won the Georgia silver medal. And they were coached by Dwight Howard. The basketball player's father was his coach, Dwight Howard Sr. It was what I always call and tell everybody, my summer from hell. They kept winning and winning and winning, and it was hot and hot, but it was victory for them. As I said, they came in second in the state. And Joshua, all of this running and doing all of this was while he became an Eagle Scout. And my being awarded Boy Scouts' highest honors, the Whitney Young Award, the Silver Beaver Wood Badge, and I was also district commissioner. A good athlete is not good alone. I would like for as many present here who played at Hubbard, the basketball players, any sports, basketball players, football players, and track and field. So please stand. If you're in here and you played at Hubbard before integration, please stand. Just stand, please. Thank you. Between Hubbard School and the State Teachers and Agricultural College, we have hundreds and hundreds of outstanding, gifted, and talented alumni. Doctors, lawyers, educators, activists, entrepreneurs, all having walked the sacred halls of old Hubbard High School. I have been the historian for the Hubbard Alumni Association for 32 years. I have written and collected history of Negro education in Monroe County from the first Negro school in 1868 until the last Negro school in 1970. These exhibits are displayed at the Hubbard Museum and Culture Center at the Hubbard School Complex. There will be an open house tonight for any of you here who would like to go, who are visiting, and want to make sure that you see some of the exhibits that we have there. Again, tonight we're just going to go by and have an open house. Please join me and the Hubbard Alumni Board members for this visitation. It has been my pleasure to work beside and share the vision of our community and school with these hardworking, accomplished people whom I truly love. With the Hubbard Alumni Board members, please stand. Hubbard Alumni Board members, please stand. And Larry, Emeritus, please stand. I would like to thank my family and friends for coming tonight, especially my son, Joshua, who tried to get here from Tifton tonight, traffic. And my daughter, Sierra, who's in the Navy in Maryland. She came down on Thursday. And my cousin and my best friend, Dr. Gloria Singleton Gaston is here from Atlanta. Finally, in my living around the country and traveling throughout the world, throughout the United States and internationally, and working for major corporations, when I say I am from Georgia, many are amazed. They assume the worst situations of hatred and abuse. I tell them that here in Forsyth, Monroe County, things are different. It was a wonderful place to grow up, inclusive, progressive, and I am proud to be a Forsythian. One quick story I wanted to share with you about an experience to show Forsyth progressiveness, and at the time, we here in the community didn't realize how progressive we were. In 1964, Monroe County had 7 Negro households were given integration vouchers to integrate the public schools. It was a trial run. I have no idea how these households were selected, but 7 were selected. 8 Negro children went to the schools, but 7 were selected, households. My household was selected for me to attend Mary Person. I refused. My parents felt I did not have the temperament to do so. So they sent my brother, Harold Moore. Frank Redding's household was selected. His sister Patricia went in his stead. David and Oretha Sewell's household was selected. Their son, Alvin Sewell, went. My senior year, and this is where the progression comes, my senior year in college, I changed my major from pure mathematics to math education. And in the winter quarter of 1970, did my student teaching in Perry, Georgia, at the segregated black Houston High School. And a lot of you might have heard on the news about them winning the state championship I think Denise Roberts had specials on 60 Minutes and on ABC about they never got there until 2021, got their championship awards. But after changing my major, and I went to Houston High School. Within 2 weeks of being there at Houston High School, all of Houston County was segregated. And Houston High School went to Warner Robins, and I went to Warner Robins. And it was like an atomic bomb had hit that whole county. It was race riots everywhere. I was harassed as a teacher, called all kinds of things. So it was a really, really experience. But what had happened is that Houston County had not prepared their students and their community for what Monroe County had already previously prepared for. The trial run helped. It helped a lot of things. So I look at Monroe County as being very, very progressive in a lot of things that they do and they've done. So no chaos was going on here in Monroe County. And again, thank you, Selection Committee, for having chosen me. And again, I accept this honor. And as Maya Angelou would say, I wouldn't take nothing from my journey. Thank you.
Our next inductee had a great journey too. A proud Monroe Academy Mustang. A sharpshooter in the days when sharpshooters weren't really rewarded. One season while leading her team to the state title, she averaged 21 points a game. For her career, she scored over 1,600 points in basketball. And keep in mind, this was before there was a three-point shot. Can you imagine the numbers if the three-pointer was in effect back then? Hundreds of more points would have been scored, but still, pretty darn good as it was. One of the most outstanding players of her era. Also, tennis and track. She was an outstanding student and was the homecoming queen, and found time to do it all to earn entry into the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2023, Robbie Pippinger Richardson.
Something to say, I'm not in the stays in your way. You're not from Tatnall Square or Mexico or Stratford, hey. I wouldn't go there, no, sorry, I'm here to stay. If you're a mistake, then I am with you, for I am Mustang too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you to the chairman and committee members for choosing me to be included with all these other elite athletes. This is such an honor, and I never would have dreamed that I would be standing here tonight. First, I want to thank God for giving me the talent and the abilities that I have. Next, I would have to give credit to a vacuum cleaner system. That's what I had when I was growing up, this vacuum cleaner system. My family probably knows what I'm talking about, but I'll explain to the rest of you what this means. My parents built a house we moved to Macon when I was about 2 years old. I grew up in Macon, and my parents built a house, and my mom had a choice whether to have air conditioning, central air conditioning, or central vacuum cleaner system. Well, not being from Macon and knowing that the forecast of Macon is hot and humid, she chose the vacuum cleaner system. Well, we found out pretty quick that it was a lot cooler to be outside than it was inside our house. That vacuum cleaner system worked real well for a 2-story house, but that air conditioning would have been a lot nicer. But so what we discovered being outside, we found whatever we could do outside all day long. We were out most of the summer. I was riding bikes, jumping on my trampoline, hitting tennis balls against a brick wall, shooting basketball in our driveway. So most of our childhood, or my childhood, was being outside. My brother, who is 2.5 years older than I am, he pretty much takes credit for my athletic success. Mostly that is true. I do have to give him some credit. We were outside all the time, that even though we had our share of disagreements as a brother and sister, he's one I need to thank for teaching me how to play all the different sports, for teaching me how to shoot overhead shots instead of granny shots, and for always picking me to be on his team first. I got my start in tennis when I was about 10 years old. My mom entered me in tennis tournaments around Georgia during the summers when I was 10 and 11 years old. My brother and I started at Monroe Academy in 7th grade. He was in 9th grade when I was coming in 7th, and he encouraged me to go out for basketball in 7th grade. Well, I was a new kid in school, and I was shy, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't want to go out yet in 7th grade, but I did go out finally in 8th grade. That's when I got my start in varsity in 8th grade. It was about that time when it went from 6 players to 5 players. I kind of telling my age, but it's gone from 6 players to 5 players on the court. That girls use the same size basketball as boys. That came later. And then, as Frank mentioned, it was before three-pointers were even heard of. I had some great coaches come along at Monroe Academy. One of them was Coach Casey Jones, who's here tonight. He taught me more than any of the others, and I really do. We really didn't quite understand what the ankle weights and running the bleachers and all those suicide drills were all about, but he knew he was developing a championship team. And so for him, I thank him for that. I thank my teammates who helped me to be as successful as I am, and for all the rides home after practices. There is no I in team. Thank you to my sisters and brother for always supporting me all these years, for always being at my games. I played tennis at Monroe, even though I wanted to play softball, but couldn't since they were at the same time. Track was a little different at Monroe. There was not any practicing or preparing for track meets. We were pretty much asked the day before to attend a track meet. Luckily, I could run fast, and I competed in the 50 and 100-yard dashes and didn't have to do those long relays. I was fortunate to continue my basketball career as a Mercer teddy bear. We were teddy bears back then, not lady bears. And while in college, I was finally able to play some softball. I played for my church, and then I ended up playing for the city of Macon. For my career, I did not choose to teach or coach, but I had the privilege to serve the families of Georgia for 26 and a half years. In between those 26 years, athletics found me again, and I did teach and coach for about 9 years in a private school sector. I'm now retired, living in Forsyth, and still find myself being an athlete, enjoying sports with my 2 children and 3 grandchildren. Sports have always been in my blood, and I learned lifelong attributes from playing them, such as getting along and respecting others, working hard to be successful, and picking yourself back up when you fail. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank my husband, my high school sweetheart, for being the best basketball manager, for being my #1 fan and support all these years. Because of him, I'm standing here tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, our next inductee, we'll tell you, is a multi-sports star while at Monroe Academy, a Mustang. Now, assist records, single game, single season, and career in basketball. Now, that might mean he was an excellent passer. It also might mean he was a really bad shooter, so the coach just said, pass the ball. But boy, could he do it well. But it was in golf that he really excelled. He won the individual state championship in high school. He won a team state championship, then on to college at ABAC and Georgia Southern, earning all conference honors as a Georgia Southern Eagle. And then, once he got out into the business world, his golf game really blossomed, which makes you wonder, what was he actually doing for his work? Well, he was an outstanding golfer. He won more than 50 tournaments, and he displays each one of those in his house to this day. Do you have any of them out in your house this day? None. I didn't think so. Not one. He's got 50 of them. Also won the 1991 Georgia State Golf Association Mid-Amateur State title. He had a sweet swing. He could always find an open teammate. And tonight, he marches into the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2023. Sonny Trammell, bring it on up here, my friend.
Nothing stands in your way. You're not from Texas where a blessing or a Stratford, hey. I wouldn't go there, no siree. I'm here to stay. If you're open, say, then I am with you, for I am a staying too.
Well, I don't know where Frank Malloy went, but the first thing I wanted to say was during my sports years, high school and college years, we had really good media around to promote athletics, and Frank Malloy was a young sports director during my years, and of course he became the anchor at Channel 13, and he became the anchor because of his work ethic and just a really fine man, and you know, he's taught us now for 40 years here in Middle Georgia. You know, he's educated us and he's entertained us for 40 years here in Middle Georgia. And I wanted to tell Frank, Middle Georgia is a better place for having Frank Malloy being a part of it. So I was going to give Frank Malloy a round of applause, and Frank ran out. I'd like to first thank my buddy Jimmy Encinas. He kind of got the ball rolling for me to be here. Probably a year ago or so, and then Dr. Tom Perry called me about 4 or 5 months ago and said, "Sonny, will you put together your resume and sports accomplishments for the Sports Hall of Fame?" And I said, "Doc, I'll be glad to. I'll bring them to you, and you can take it from there." So thank you, Dr. Perry. Big reason why I'm here tonight. And I guess the biggest reason I'm here is because my parents, of course, we lost my father 3 years ago. And, you know, he can't be here tonight, but my mother is really the cog that, I mean, all my sporting deals, she was there. She got me there. She fed me before I went there. She cleaned my clothes. And, you know, so I had a really, really good mama. So, you know, she... So, you know, my parents were really, really good to me. So... Coach Dan Pitts and I went to a golf tournament close 30 years ago, somewhere in that range anyway, and it was a fundraiser golf tournament like a lot of us play in. And we were sitting at a table with Coach Larry Campbell, and you know, Coach Pitts and Coach Campbell were both the winningest coach ever in the state of Georgia upon their retirements, and so pretty classy guys. And I had 2 young kids, and they had fast twitch muscles, looked pretty athletic. And I said, "Coach Campbell, I've got 2 pretty young kids, and they're pretty good athletes." I said, "Would you hold them back in school where they're oldest in their class versus being the youngest in their class?" Well, Coach Campbell didn't even think for 2 seconds. Coach Campbell looked up at me and he said, "Son, I held my boy back so many times he could drive a team bus in 7th grade." So we were coming back that night, and Coach Pitts, as we all well know, he thinks about things before he ever will answer. And Coach Pitts, we were getting close to home, and Coach Pitts said, "Sonny, you know what you asked Larry?" He said, "Probably cost you about as much as any athlete that I can remember in Forsyth," because what Coach Pitts knew is when I was a 9th grader, I was 5'6", and I weighed 105 pounds. And on my 19th birthday, I was 6'2" and weighed 215 pounds. So the moral to that story is, you know, if you can hold your kids back, hold them back. And give them every opportunity to mature and be able to play. I started college at 17, and so, you know, hold them back if you can. So, So what's the next thing I had? I started golf at about 11 years old, and it was kind of by chance. A neighbor of mine, John Carter, had this old rusty 8-iron, McGregor 8-iron, and I had this Wilson Indestructo football, hard rubber football, so we traded. So I got this 8-iron, I started hacking it around in our backyard there on West Johnson Street, and so it didn't take long, and I was pinging some off the house, and finally I broke a window. And my father said, be no more broken windows in this house with this golf club. So, yes, sir. And it was a short time after that, got another window. And when I was a kid, there were consequences for your actions. And as I broke that window, it sounded like my whole world was crashing down, because as I scanned the backyard, there was my 6'1", 240-pound father standing in the driveway. And so he came into the backyard, and he got me and took me in the house, and that's when I got my consequences. So that's how I got started in golf. But my mother, being, she was the backbone. She saved me is what she did, because either my father, if I broke another window, either my father was going to kill me or my mother was going to kill my father, one of the two. So my mother, they bought me a little set of golf clubs, little Wilson Samsonite golf clubs. I had a driver, 3-wood, 3-iron, 5-iron, 7-iron, 9-iron, a putter. And my mother started taking me to the golf course and put me out. So it became a babysit. She killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I wasn't going to break another window, and there was a place to babysit. Well, I went out to the golf course, and these guys let me work some little odd jobs, and then they let me play 9 holes for free. And Sonny Trammell at 11 years old thought that was the greatest thing in the world. So I got where I really enjoyed golf, and I hadn't been playing long. Well, the next summer, my mother started entering me in these golf tournaments. So I really didn't know what I was doing, but we had good success as a 12-year-old. And at the end of that summer was the Georgia State PGA. So all the better juniors around the state of Georgia come to this Georgia State PGA, and I'm just a little country boy from Juliet, and at the end of 36 holes in that first Georgia State PGA, I was tied for the lead, and I ended up getting beat in a playoff in that Georgia State PGA. But I think at 12 years old during that tournament is when I guess I became a golfer. And that's what I was. I was a golfer, I guess. So my junior golf career went well, and I didn't win 50 amateur tournaments as an amateur. I won a lot of tournaments with team tournaments, but I did win a lot of little junior tournaments, and I ended up being on the Georgia State. The picture in the book is the Georgia State Golf Association Junior Challenge Match team, and there are 10 guys in that picture, and one of them is Davis Love, who won 20-something professional events, and Gene Sowers won 7 or 8 tour events, ended up being my teammate at Georgia Southern. Peter Persons is there, Hugh Royer's there, and we had as good a junior class as probably the state of Georgia's ever had. So I got to represent the state of Georgia as top 10 junior as a 16 to 17-year-old, and we played the state of Florida and the state of South Carolina in challenge matches, kind of Ryder Cup style challenge matches. So that was kind of pretty cool. Another thing, as a 17-year-old, I qualified for the World Junior, and I never had been on a plane before, but the World Junior was in San Diego, California. And so we fly out to San Diego, and I remember Peter Persons and Davis Love had qualified, and there was another guy and 2 girls. But we get out there, we're playing a practice round, and we're actually south of San Diego in La Jolla, the most beautiful place I've ever seen, these big, tall cliffs. It's just a beautiful place, and we're playing a practice round, and people, we could see them down on the beach on these cliffs, and they looked, just like an inch tall. And there were fish out in the ocean, and there were whales, and, they looked only 6-8 inches tall because these cliffs were so tall. And so we got done playing our practice round, went and got our bathing suits on, so we get on these this big, huge cliff, and it wasn't dangerous, but you had to be careful because you could hurt yourself. And so we go down this bank, and we walk out on this beach in La Jolla, California, and we're the only ones that have clothes on. So I'm a hay farmer in Juliet, Georgia, and now I'm on Black Beach in San Diego, California, a nude beach. And so my buddies and I, we walked up and down the beach a little bit. We weren't looking or anything, but that was a pretty cool experience. I went in the Pacific Ocean. About ankle deep, and it's the coldest water I've ever been in. I turned into a popsicle, and I came running back out. It was the coldest water I've ever been in. So that's kind of how my junior golf career went, and so it was on to college. So I went and I visited Tennessee mainly because Coach Pitts had a friend there, and Alvin Tolles was at Tennessee, and I think that's kind of how I got that visit. And I went to see Sonny Dragoin at Auburn, and Dick Kopis at University of Georgia, and those places were so big, and I really didn't care for a place that size, so I ended up at Georgia Southern. I was redshirted as a freshman at Georgia Southern, and we had a really good team. Jody Mudd was the #1 amateur in the country, and we were ranked 6th in the country my freshman year, and I was redshirt, so I didn't get to play. You got 15 guys on the team, only like 5 scholarships, so that summer I was playing in a tournament in Albany, Georgia, and a friend of mine, Chad Willis, who I'd grown up playing junior golf with, was at Texas, was coming back to ABAC. He had transferred back to ABAC because he was a little homesick. So he said, you need to come play with us at ABAC, because I told him I was redshirted and probably wasn't going to play the next year as a sophomore. He said, well, come on to ABAC. And so I gave him my phone number, and that Monday, Coach Cooper, the coach at ABAC, called, and my parents and I went down to ABAC and checked it out. The campus was small and really cool place, and so I was off to ABAC. So I went to ABAC as a sophomore, and just had a close niche of friends there. I met my wife Peggy there, and I told all her students as they were coming along. When I met Peggy, I actually met Peggy. Peggy had on a little pair of short blue jean shorts and a little halter top. And in Cordele, Georgia, Tifton, Georgia, you hauled watermelons. Peggy was working in this watermelon patch, had on those blue jean shorts and this little halter top. She looked really good, so I asked her for a date. We went out on a date. The next day, I bought her first pair of shoes, and she's been following me around ever since. So I really enjoyed ABAC, and so we had a close-knit group of friends, and I was real good friends with the shortstop on the baseball team. His name was Britt Porters, and Peggy and I went and ate dinner with him in Atlanta a couple years ago and went to a Braves game, and just really good to see Britt again. But Britt and I went out to the baseball field, and we were just throwing around, doing whatever, and I told Britt, I said, Britt, get behind the plate. So I stepped up on the mound, and I left Forsyth at 158 pounds. Well, I'm 6'2", 215. I hadn't thrown a baseball a lot. But I threw Brett 12 or 15 pitches, and I kind of lit him up. And he had a glove on, and I kind of lit him up. And he said, hey, I'm going to get Coach Moody. Well, Coach Moody was a baseball coach. The next day, he and Coach Moody came back out. And I threw about 45, 50 pitches for Coach Moody. And Coach Moody called Coach Cooper, my golf coach, and all of a sudden I had a baseball uniform. Well, I was in hog heaven because baseball was my favorite game. I mean, at 6'2", 215, probably football and baseball were my best games, and golf down the road third, and basketball was a distant fourth. But Coach Moody, I got a uniform, so we were playing Valdosta State over in Valdosta, and I was pitching to a guy named June Mumford, and June Mumford had been drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals the year before. And he came back to try to improve his draft status, got drafted in a later round. And I was about 10 pitches deep into the at bat with Mumford. He had fouled a couple off, and we had a guy named Eddie Dixon who ended up playing AAA with Montreal. He was from Lee County, and Lee County is a baseball community like Forsyth is a football community. And we're 10 pitches deep into Mumford, and Eddie said, you better show him something different. You better throw something different. And I was trying to throw fastballs by him, and I hung one in the middle of the plate, and Mumford hit this ball, and it went over the left center field fence, and it bounced off this field house over the left center field fence, probably 150 feet over this left center field fence. And we had a little Latin American pitching coach, and he came out to the mound, And I said, please don't take me out. Please don't take me out. Because I wanted to throw. I love baseball. I wanted to pitch some more. I said, please don't take me out. And he got out to the mound, and he couldn't pronounce my name. He called me Tunny. He couldn't pronounce Sonny. And he took the ball. He came out there, and he took the ball, and he's rubbing the ball up. And he said, Tunny, he said, I've been in baseball for 37 years, and I ain't never seen a ball hit that damn far. And he popped that ball back in my glove, and he walked off, and he just chuckled all the way to the dugout. So ABAC was a really good time. I really enjoyed it, and met my wife there, and that was a great experience. So I went back to Georgia Southern. I wanted to play baseball, so I went back to Southern. I was walking onto the baseball team there. I went to tryouts, and I thought it was for all players, and I wanted to play center field, and I wanted to hit. And so it was just pitchers and catchers, and I said, well, I'll pitch again. So this went on for about 3 days, and the pitching coach, and then Jack Stallings was the head coach, but the pitching coach was Coach Bryant. And Coach Bryant had made me extend my arm a little bit, and maybe I picked up some miles per hour or whatever. And he and Coach Stallings, after that third practice, they sat me down. They said, look, we don't have any money this year. We don't have any scholarship money, but we'd like for you to pitch. And so I started talking to a couple of the older guys that played on the team, and they said, you know, they're not going to give you any money because they're only like 11 and a half baseball scholarships. You'll be a senior next year, and they're not going to give you, they're probably not going to give you any money. So I called Coach Gordon, the golf coach, and school hadn't started, and I told him I was coming back. In some miraculous way, I don't know how, because golf only has about 5 scholarships amongst 15 guys. And Coach Gordon, I said, Coach Gordon, I said, I'm coming back to Georgia Southern, and you know, I'm interested in playing golf. And Coach Gordon said, well, come on back. He said, I've actually got half a scholarship. I've got tuition and books. So my baseball deal was over, and so back to Georgia Southern as a golfer. So my junior year at Georgia Southern, I really wasn't as excited about golf at the time, but I got back to Southern, and our golf coach, Doug Gordon, came in to the first little deal we had, first little meeting we had, and the top 5 guys on our team are gonna get to go play Augusta National in January. So we're gonna have fall qualifying, winter qualifying. The top 5 guys of 15 are gonna get to go to Augusta National. So this struck my interest back up. So I was kind of interested in golf again. I said, that sounds really good. So qualifying through fall and winter was brutal, because if you spotted your ball wrong, somebody's going to call a penalty on you, because everybody wanted to go to Augusta National to play golf. And we had a guy on our team, Drew Pittman, and Drew was from Vidalia, and Drew Pittman's family knew Jerry Achenbach. And Jerry Achenbach is the one that had us over to Augusta National, just the top 5, not all 15, but just the top 5. So through qualifying that fall and winter, I qualified as one of the top 5. So we get to Augusta National, and this is the place to be in golf. And we drive up Magnolia Lane. Our caddies come get our bags. We hit balls for about 40, 45 minutes, and our caddies are making bets. You know, I'll take my guy against your guy for this amount of money or whatever. And I didn't know what the bets were, really didn't matter. But so we hit balls for about 40 minutes, played the par 3 course, went in and had lunch, best bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich I've ever eaten in my life, and out to play the 18 holes. Well, it was kind of cold and breezy that day, and it was in January. Golf course was kind of soft, played really long. Front 9, I made 1 birdie, 1 bogey, and I'm an even par at the turn. So my caddy and I are getting along great, and we go to the 10th hole. The 10th hole is a long dog leg par 4. Downhill goes to the left. You got to shape your ball kind of around the dog leg. It was kind of wet, so you weren't going to get much roll that day. I hit my ball a little to the right, a little bit soft, had a long shot into the green, hit it in a azalea bush. Well, my caddy and I get down there, and I said, you know, give me my sandwich. I'm going to hit it out right here, and, you know, we'll try to make 5 and, you know, go to the next hole. He said, you can't get it out. I said, yeah, I think I can. He said, you can't get it out. He said, there's too many little limbs in there. So he gave me my sandwich, and about 3 or 4 hits later, finally I got my ball out of that azalea bush. Walking to the 11th tee, I'd made a 9 on number 10. I was even par, and I made a 9 on the 10th hole. And so my caddy didn't talk to me for 3 holes. He, you know, we parred the 11th, parred the 12th, birdied the 13th, and finally going up number 14. Finally my caddy was talking to me again, and we were getting along quite well. So my junior year at Southern, we go back to school. We end up playing 9 or 10 tournaments. I made first team all conference my junior year, and I finished top 5 of the conference tournament and made the all conference team at the conference tournament. So that was kind of my, I forgot to talk about our high school team, who my guys are here. Paul Smith and Jeff Dale, Stephen Grizzard. I forgot to mention that, but we won the state championship my junior year, and I finished second in the state individually. And then our senior year, I think we finished second. So we had a really good high school team. We didn't expect to win anything, I think, our junior year, but we all played real well, and so that was a great win for us. So back to Georgia Southern. That kind of got me done with Georgia Southern. I got out of Southern. I was done with college. I went home, and I read this book by Bobby Jones. And this book was a little thing I read, and there are 2 or 3 little keys. And I went from being a scratch golfer to about a +4 or whatever. I got a whole lot better just reading this book, and I just got a lot better. And Peggy and I got married, and we were talking about maybe playing some mini tour events, that sort of thing. And I ended up not doing that, and so I played a few more amateur events. And like Frank said, we won the Georgia State Mid Amateur in '91 and won the Peach Blossom in '91, and Lee Gertis and I won quite a few 4-ball tournaments, and so my golf career kind of in 1993 or 4 kind of came to an end because I got into restaurant business, and I got into restaurant business. The restaurant business didn't go well, and so finally I ended up just putting my clubs down. I didn't play, and I didn't touch a club for 10, 12, 15 years. So I've been back hitting a few balls, and I really enjoy golf, but what happened? I'm sorry. All right. All right, let me finish up with this. Let me finish up with this, because this is probably the most important thing I did want to say tonight. About 15 years ago, I was reading a book by Jonathan Cahn, and Jonathan Cahn's probably the greatest Christian disciple of Jesus Christ that I know. So I'm reading this book by Jonathan Cahn. I'm sitting in my bed at home, and Jesus Christ is saying, "Come on, it's time, Sonny, it's time." So I started doing the prayer of salvation. And, Lord Jesus, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry for my sins. Lord Jesus, please come into my heart. Well, I started crying for 8 or 10 minutes, and it was uncontrollable. And I couldn't stop crying for 8 to 10 minutes. And as I did that, every sin that I've ever committed came from my bottom of my stomach up out of my throat. And it just kept coming and coming and coming. Well, that was the Holy Spirit coming into my heart. And God sent the Holy Spirit into my heart right there. And it was the craziest. It was. Sonny Trammell was a reborn Christian at the end of that 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm gonna finish up with this. My pastor says that well. Let me back up. I didn't bring any notes, and I did run a little bit long, but. I just pray and hope that everybody in this room has accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, because as my pastor says, eternity is too long to be wrong. So Jesus is coming back, so be ready when he gets here, okay? Thank y'all. Sorry it took so long.
All right, I think my wife may be back there doing that, so you need to stop. All right, Frank, he wasn't kidding. He had to go do the news. So the pressure is on. My family moved to Forsyth in 1975, and when you're a young kid, the older guys, you always look up, 2 or 3 years is a long time when you're a kid. When you get old like I am now, it's not much, but all three of these guys, I guess that I'm gonna have the privilege of introducing real quick. I remember them playing and looking up to them and watching them play football when I was a little younger. And they didn't play just football, but we're in Forsyth, Georgia, and you know what that means. But our next inductee is David D.D. Sewell. And I know a lot of y'all know more about this than I do. I had a couple conversations with Coach Pitts later in his life, and I know some guys that were on the 80 team the next year that won the state championship. Coach Pitts really felt like the 79 team, was a team that should have been there too. I know DD, there was an injury and a kind of a crazy game right there at the end. And I remember I was at the game that year. I was in the 6th grade, and that was terrible the way that ended. But DD was the first black quarterback in Mary Persons, and a great athlete, not just football. Went on, played in college at Williams College. Mama is a Hall of Famer, and a wonderful family. And David D.D. Sewell is our next inductee in the Hall of Fame.
Good evening, everyone. To the Board of Directors, inductees, friends, and family. I'm truly honored and very appreciative of this nomination to the Forsyth Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame. Before I go any further, Ms. Trammell, Sonny, I agree. She's a great mother. We all love her. Wayne, I played for the Orioles. Ricky played for you guys. We never beat you, but we sure would like to have. No, we didn't. I played for Gene Maddox. We had a good team. Alvin Tolles, Jim Benson, and I all played together. On the inside of the program, we'll see the members of the Board of Commissioners listed. Please acknowledge them and take the time to let them know how appreciative we are for this and the hard work that they do to continue to bring this event for us. There are so many other deserving nominees for this honor. I'm just flabbergasted that I'm receiving the award, and I want to say thank you to the Board of Trustees from the bottom of my heart. The emphasis of this speech tonight is really to give thanks and credit to those who helped me be the player that I became. My success was a team effort that culminated from years of competitive sports of all kinds. My dad has already told me, don't get up here bragging, and my Coach Pitts would concur. He and I were very close, 5 years of constant year-round training. Always looked out for me in the small things. He never really wanted me to play other sports because football requires so much of a person who played quarterback. I started to play baseball as a pitcher and he was the baseball coach. We were introducing baseball to Mary Persons, and he said, "Dee Dee, this pitching baseball is not conducive to your passing motion throwing the football." So that was the end of baseball. I was also captain of the basketball team my senior year, and I was under the leadership of Coach James Love. Just a total different style of coaching, but a very inspirational coach to me as well. Coach Love knew your personal business. He knew who your girlfriend was. He knew when you cut curfew the night before. So he was very on point with you. Coach Pitts, because he didn't really like me playing other sports, was always at the events when I played. And I always got hurt playing other sports other than football. There was no ambulance. There was always just Coach Pitts and I in his personal car, bleeding or whatever, on the way to the hospital, calling Dr. Smith. Meet us there, it's Dee Dee, it's 11 o'clock at night. And I'm so thankful for that type of leadership. Even though I was the first black quarterback, as Mr. Harden mentioned, Coach Pitts never talked about it. We never mentioned race. In his eyes, we bled black and gold, not black and white. He loved golf, and so he didn't have a problem with me playing golf. I got a chance to play a little golf with my other football teammate, Ricky Willingham, called him Bunny Rabbit. He was also a training quarterback and a defensive back. And Ricky was just always a bundle of laughs everywhere he went. Coach Pitts was always serious. And I tell you, he almost drove him crazy with his horseplay. And I tell you, one day he hit him in the head with the football. And I thought, oh, Lord, I just heard taps playing in my head because I thought that was going to be the end of Ricky. But I enjoyed playing sports of all kinds, especially football, basketball, baseball, ever since the 4th grade all the way to high school. And tonight I want to kind of put things into perspective a little bit, and if I seem to drift off, I'm going to try not to do that too much. This award is so significant to me because I have the honor of being inducted in the Sports Hall of Fame with my mother. And it's so special to me. She passed a couple of years ago. So it's very special. It doesn't get any better. Simply because my mother was someone that exuded of discipline, compassion, ethics, morals that I could only aspire to live up to. She possessed an uncanny ability to discipline children and make you feel loved at the same time. She was a sense of principle, so she was always tasked with disciplining the children. She was that bridge during integration and dealing with mothers, and she gravitated to those that were less fortunate, children that had troubled homes. I watched her sacrifice to make sure that every child had decent shoes, clothes, whatever. She sacrificed to the extent that she shuffled different outfits and made sure that we didn't go without. She was very strict, and in those days, she would paddle you, or, as Toby would say, if you interrupted her science class or you fell asleep, you got a tennis ball thrown at you. She left such a lasting impression on all of us, so many of us. When she gave her induction, she was beginning to sort of get a little dementia. She broke her glasses before she came up to speak. So she didn't read. She spoke from memory, and she stumbled a little bit. And it was a little difficult to watch. But as you all are tonight, and those who were in attendance that night were so gracious and reciprocative of the love that she typically extended to you, and for that I'm so thankful. Mom rose from very meager beginnings, one of 7 children, by Luther Dillard and Pansy Waterman. Pansy Waterman was the grandchild of a German immigrant who came here in 1865, Jewish. My grandfather, her grandfather, Luther Dillard, was the grandchild of an enslaved mother, Cherry Dillard, born in 1823, right over here where you call the Dillard voting district. Cherry taught the children to read and write, so my ancestors came out of slavery, reading and writing. Quite an accomplishment and very instrumental in bringing my family to the point that we are now. She purchased 3 acres in Forsyth for $15 in 1869 after the Civil War. And that was the beginning of the uplifting of my family. And at that time, at that crossroads, she had a decision. She could have bought a new horse, a fancy dress that she had seen the other women around her going to church every Sunday, or some new shoes or a new horse. But she bought 3 acres for $15. And it's the value of that, and it's just significant to all of us in my family. And those values trickled down to my mother, who was so sacrificial in the way she treated others. She worked at the barber shop in the day. She went to school at night at Fort Valley, acquired a bachelor's degree, became a teacher, went to Mercer University, got her master's degree. Gentle at heart, but tough as nails. And I thank her for her love and her guidance. But let's not forget my dad's influence on me and my family. A North Carolina A&T graduate and a hard-working Mason that built our house, our basketball goals, our aquarium, and everything else that we needed around the house. He provided it. We wore out the wood ping pong tables so fast, he built a concrete one for us. We always had the best basketball goal, plenty of manicured lawn to play football, baseball, marbles, ping pong. And for that, Dad, I'm thankful for you. He made me tough. He didn't want a weak boy. So, at a young age, he always challenged me. When I was 3, he'd sit beside me, grab a hunk of meat, my arm on my side, look me in the eye and pinch me and tell me, "Don't you cry." Seriously. He'd take me outside. We had a clothesline. He'd tell me to grab a hold of that clothesline. He'd turn his back. I'm 3 years old. He said, "Don't you turn it loose. Hold on." Yeah, child abuse, I know. But it made me the man that I am today, and I thank you. By the time I was 13, he had me carrying 2 40-pound blocks in each hand, which came in handy later on as a quarterback. So by the time I reached Coach Pitts, it was easy to follow the strict guidelines because he had already instilled them at home. The blessing of a father in the home. Blessed to have had 2 nurturing parents who disciplined and loved me, laid the groundwork that I would later use in parenting my own children. Excuse me. When I stopped attending Williams College, I made a conscious decision, make an honest living, and I went on to be a law enforcement police officer, 5 or 6 years, integrated the DO2 enforcement here unit, in the state of Georgia. Only black that had a mobile unit, northern half of the state of Georgia. On to 31 years at the Postal Service, retired at 56. And the other thing was to get married and devote as much time as I could to my children. Chasing money wasn't the priority because I had been shown from my ancestors there was a bigger picture, not to put money in my pockets, but to make the next generation better for the future. That was what was important to me. And then now I'm reaping that success and my children's success. And so I'm rich in family, and that's priceless. My lovely wife, Pamela, 33 years, cancer survivor, tough as nails, sacrificed to take a job at George Walton High School. I don't know if you're all familiar with it. It's the #1 high school, charter high school in this state of Georgia, so that we could give them the best education that they could get. That school also is so competitive that you're almost at the level of college. When you leave there, college becomes easy. It's an easy transition. My son declared a petroleum engineer major, went to LSU with in-state fees. My daughter, Mercer University, cross-country scholarship, on to Charleston School of Law. And after 10 years, my daughter's still the 800-meter record holder at Mercer University. So my work is done. As the third of 4 children, I was able to feed off the achievements of both my brother and my sister. Despite my sister's, Reva's, physical challenges of being born with polio and a quadriplegic, she was the extraordinary one. Whew. What she lacked physically was multiplied mentally. She had the hand quickness and balance that was unmatched. She could literally use one hand and kill a fly on the other hand. She used a barrel about the size of a 5-gallon paint bucket. And she would scoot around the house. She would use that bucket. She'd tilt it to the left, tilted to the right, while leaning forward with her arms in a fixed position. No counterbalance, skills, no fear. And I have a photo of her riding a horse. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having a mosquito light on your ear or your nose or your eyelid, or your buttock may need a scratch, but you can't do it? What would you do? It would drive you crazy. Yes, she had the mental ability to control her mind, not let it bother her. Can you imagine this? The things that we take for granted. So how could I possibly complain? How could I not believe that I could do anything? Everyone wanted to be her friend, push her chair, carry her books to the next classroom. Ask Ralph Moore. Or Kenny Walker, and God rest Marcus Whitehead's soul, he would be there right there too. Because of her disabilities, she attracted and gravitated others who had disabilities to her. One of her classmates, Randy, he had one arm. He wore a prosthetic but he took it off when he was playing sports with us: football, baseball, basketball, marbles, or ping pong. He even made the high school basketball team. It always amazed me to watch him play baseball. Catch the ball with his glove, throw the ball in the air, throw the glove off his hand, reach back, catch the ball, and throw you out. Skills, heart, how could I complain? Then there was my brother, one of the best at shooting a BB gun, and boy, shooting marbles, playing basketball, and ping pong. He was a trash talker. He got it from Daddy. It was part of the mind game. If he wasn't good enough, he could talk you out of it and beat you. He was very competitive, hated to lose, and so did I. Being 7 years younger than him, it caused me to always want to play hard. And if you wanted to play, you had to step your game up. We didn't get held back, but we had to play with older kids. That was the key that made us all better. And he's quite deserving of the induction as well. First black board-certified anesthesiologist in Macon, Georgia. Saved countless lives. One of the first black kids, as Dolores mentioned, to integrate Banks Stevens. Yeah, he fought after school. I didn't have to experience that. He did. He had an awesome basketball jump shot from the corner, which was one of the most difficult shots on the floor. He went from there to Presbyterian College in Clinton, South Carolina, walked on, received a full basketball scholarship, one of 20 black kids at the school and one of 3 on the team. So before I go any further, Percy mentioned talking about the bridge of the integration at that time. My brother mentioned at that time that Coach Pitts was ahead of the game. He took all those athletes, the black athletes, Percy and them, he took them to camp and he merged them with the white kids before school. So when school started, they saw all of the top black and white athletes getting along like it was nothing. So what are we to complain about? Let's just roll with this. Everybody else is cool with it. And I appreciate him for taking the time to do that and have that forethought. So before I played Little League sports, as Dolores said, we had the neighborhood rivalries. Kids mixed of all ages and sizes. And if you were young, you had to step it up. Blunt Hills, Union Hill versus Cloden Road, Belltown. These were the rivalries that made us better. Neighborhood, tackle football, no pads. My neighbor, Jabbo Proctor, walk over every day. Anybody who knows Jabbo, his thigh was big as my waist. So I was glad that he picked me to be on his team most of the time. Along with us, Calvin Lyons, Tony Smith, Lynn Evans, Chuck Wilder, Bud Avery, Floyd Willis, occasionally Fred Chalmers, Clifford Davis, Sammy Brown, Darrell Ogletree, Jay Hogan, Malcolm Cofer. All these guys would just walk to the house because we had the nice basketball goal. We had the nice big yard to play. And so everybody played at our house and competing and challenging, rain, shine, sleet, or snow. And as friends began to play organized sports, I decided to play organized sports. I fell in suit. The first time I tried to play in Little League, I got there late, so I didn't get drafted. So they made me the water boy for the Chargers. You talking about starting from the bottom? I started from the bottom. Water boy. The next year, Mike Peavy, along with a little nudging from some of my friends, drafted me as quarterback. That was the beginning of being placed at the quarterback position. I don't know if you all remember Mike. He was a great guy. He had a tragic accident and died the year after that. After that, that was the beginning of Phil Walker stepping into the picture. Phil, without realizing it, I was leaving an impression on Phil that would later prompt Phil to tell Coach Pitts, this is your next quarterback. You see, people don't understand the gravity of the feeder program around here and what Phil Walker had influence on bringing us up into the program so that we were ready for Coach Pitts. He didn't have to start us from scratch. Phil had us ready. In the 7th grade, Coach Pitts approached me. He said, I hear I want to groom you as the next quarterback. Okay. Well, he told me you got a couple of things you got to do. You can't get in trouble, and you have to make A's and B's, no C's. So I began the journey. So he told me to show up for practice in sweatsuits and a helmet. Coach Pierce told everybody, don't hit him. And I was praying, because at that time, that was 70s football. I was in the presence of Jeff Castleberry, Frankie Zellner, Nate Davis, Jerome Chalmers, Randall Dennis, Randy Henderson, Jeff Shivers, Bobby Rutherford, Jay Hogan, Darrell Ogletree, Ernest Brown, Elliott Chandler, Ricky Rooks, all these guys, Thumbo Redding. Oh my goodness. He walked up to me. Coach Pearson told him, don't hit me. He grabbed my hand and scratched the blood out of my arm. And he said, now you're ready. I said, wow, we're good friends to the day. He also contributed a lot to the Little League programs around here. That 70s team, like I said, it was just a different change and transition of football. These guys were just gods and gladiators to me. Every summer from the 7th grade, we spent training for quarterback. After Jeff left, that was Ricky Wilson, and it was his turn at quarterback. And I quickly gained his bond, and I appreciated it because at that time, that was what I needed. And I'm thankful to you, Ricky. You took me under your wing and helped motivate me. And I feel awkward being here because he's totally deserving. Totally. That's who broke Stewart's record. 15 touchdown passes. Most yards passing in a game. That's Ricky. His stats as a team weren't the best, but his personally were good. I copied Jeff's style of option and Ricky's style of passing. How could I go wrong? We both had large hands and gripped the ball a little differently. Coach Pitts had a special grip for us. When it was raining, he put our thumb on the threads. Only a few people could do that. But that's just how talented Ricky was, and I was just trying to follow in his footsteps. I had the honor of practicing also with Bob Harris. That was really his backup. Eddie Rowland, Ricky Willingham, we called him Bunny Rabbit. And then later, Greg Elrod came in behind me. And that was the pinnacle with the next year when they won the championship. Not sure who told Bill when he was going to be my center, but he was out there as well in sweats. We bonded together with precision clockwork for years and never fumbled once. Because we knew it would be a mouthful from Coach Pitts and 25 push-ups, fingertip, right then and there. We'd been together since 4th grade, all the way to high school and Gordon Junior College in the 12th grade. Outside of this rigorous practice schedule, Coach Pitts instilled a pattern of how we should conduct ourselves day in and day out, especially on game day. I won't say he was superstitious, but you sure had to do everything the same way, every week, in and out. No questions asked. And so did he. Nobody taped my ankles other than him, and it was always the right ankle before the left ankle. No horseplay, none. Totally forbidden. Sit down for the game, visualize what you got to do, and go out there and execute. Always serious. A lot at stake. His disciplinary ways set the tone for everyone, and his success was unmatched. As we approached the winning 150th game, as I began starting quarterback, never mentioned it, never put any pressure on me. I never even knew. At that time, we were also changing sides of the field. That was a hard sell to him because he did everything the same way. My defensive unit held the record that year for the least amount of points scored, only 29. It's a state record, and they should be honored for that. And because of that, along with the teamwork of everyone, is what brought on that 13-1 season. I'm extremely proud of our team, and a lot of us grew up together, bonding, sharing childhood, little league, and beautiful things back and forth. And that bond back then is what culminated and brought us together, playing football together. All of us, we played football together, baseball, basketball, as children. And even Sonny, he played with us before he left to go to the academy. Sonny played for the Falcons. I'll leave it at that. And then when we were 10, he was the kick, pass, and punt first class place. I was the first class punt, kick, and pass at 11. But it was both in the same year. Also, having sports with the other guys growing up, a lot of things transpired. And like I said, the bonding was just there. The first Coke I ever shared with a white guy happened playing for the Orioles. I was about 8 or 9. It was Jim Benson. It was a hot, dusty, dirty day. He walked up to me, he said, "Give me a swallow." Before I could look up, it was almost gone. And ironically, he's the one that broke my finger before the Lincoln County game. But there was no hard feelings. I knew it was a mistake. He and I had grown up together, swimming in creeks, trying to catch fish with our bare hands. And if you've ever done it, you only know there's one way to do that, so we won't even go there. But that's the type of bonding we had as children. All I'm saying is that we were uniquely bonded as kids that brought us together to culminate, to make a winning team. Coach Pitts was a winner in a disciplinary, and outside of that, there was just nothing else. That's pretty much it. I thank y'all.
We appreciate the Sewell family and their support of the Hall of Fame from day one. I apologize, Dee Dee, I'm not Frank. That probably wasn't a good introduction, but you're a quarterback, you're a real athlete. Now I got to introduce Toby Washinger, and it's easy because he was a lineman. He was a kicker too, though, right, Toby? Toby Washinger. He was a part of the team the next year that won the state championship. He was the kicker. He's gonna wear a helmet up here. Played at Tennessee Tech, 4-year starter. Congratulations.
You want to get my picture? That thing fit a lot better. Dee Dee mentioned his, that's Chris Rock. Dee Dee mentioned his mother. And when I went to Hubbard Elementary, Miss Sewell was my favorite teacher. She and I built an electric motor together. I never let education get in the way of nothing. My favorite middle school teacher is in this room tonight. Where are you, Miss McGee? She might have left a little earlier. They never forgot about me. I might have not been interested in education as much as they were, but they took care of me. My aunt was a teacher, my daughter's a teacher. A lot of my families are teachers. Matter of fact, that's my favorite aunt. If anybody contributed more than Coach Pitts, It's my aunt. She gave me something that gave me balance. If you know what a unicycle is, that's got one wheel. It takes a hell of a lot of practice to learn how to ride it, but it'll give you balance. Now, I was blessed with great speed. I run a 5.240. I thought it was pretty fast. But with that, I got about 10 pages I need to go. I was looking for Reggie to stand here with me. I heard how good he was, but I tell you what, Reggie's the only person I ever seen Coach Pitts chew out for scoring a touchdown. We were playing Monticello, and Reggie scored a touchdown, and we got in at halftime. Coach Pitts chewed him out. This event tonight is an honor, and I thank every person that put me in here. It took a lot of bribing, I promise you. But I did the best I could. But Reggie, I never will forget, we went in the locker room at Monticello, and Coach Pitts is chewing Reggie out. I said, he just scored a touchdown. Come on. He said, Reggie, what did I tell you? We never filled a punt inside the 10-yard line. But what did he do? Reggie ran about 95 yards, scored a touchdown. When we were seniors, Coach Pitts decided it was 2 players didn't need to play anymore. Evidently, they didn't meet all the criteria, so he decided they'd had to leave, and we all voted as letterman, but guess what? He counted the votes. So as we walk into practice, he says, we were walking out the old gym, and he says, hey, Toby, he said, I want you on the football field 10 minutes early. I said, what are we working on, Coach? He said, oh, you're going to be the kicker. I said, Coach, I hadn't kicked in 10 years. He said, that's not a skill position. He was twirling his whistle. I'm thankful to be here tonight. Some of my best friends are in this room. Daryl Niblett, where you at? That's Daryl Ric Flair Niblett, if you don't know it. That's an inside joke, but I think y'all know where it goes. My beautiful daughter, who's just had twins less than a month, little over 2 weeks over a month. My nephew, my brother-in-law, my daughter. That's my sister right there. She was on that team that Penny mentioned. I didn't even know that. I mean, I knew she was something. Yeah, she's been my baby sister a long time. Sonny, I tried to play golf, and matter of fact, later in life, I was playing for the Booster Tournament, and they got so mad at me. I bought 2 mulligans, and I won. But the problem was, they said, listen, man, you just parred 1, you parred 2, you birdied 1. I said, man, just wait, I'm going to drink about 3 beers, you're going to find out what I am. I love Monroe County. And if, you know, I don't live in Monroe County anymore, but this is where home is to me. It'll always be my home. When I come in, anywhere I come in from, Monticello, Monroe, if I come up from South Georgia, North Georgia, I travel this whole state. I'm retired once, now I need to retire again. I'm about crazy. When I see that Monroe County sign, my butterflies come up. I love Monroe County. Look, people don't age in Monroe County. Look how pretty y'all are. I love all of you. I thank you for staying here this long. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Coach Pitts was the most disciplinarian, the most structured person. All young people need structure and discipline. Without it, you're going to get it. You're either going to get it in the penal system or in Judgment Day. You got to have structure. You got to have discipline. We were fortunate enough, when you wore that helmet right there at Mary Persons, I don't care what color you are. We didn't even take our helmet off till we got back in the field house. What difference did it make? I loved everybody. Everybody I ever played for, I loved. Race was not an issue. We were all the same tribe. Matter of fact, every man in here that played for Coach Pitts, that went through a Mary Persons football camp, stand up. Stand up. And just as soon as we leave here, before we leave, I want you to stand right here because that's my wall of fame. That's my hero. I see heroes everywhere in this room. Reggie Mays done got tired of y'all and left. And he's younger than I am, and he's one of my heroes. I love you. The difference Coach Pitts made in our lives is he made us taxpayers, not tax burdens. We all had success in life. Anybody in this room is successful. And I love you. I had great teachers. There's when I was a senior, I'm gonna keep this right here. I might get Dee Dee to sign it. He's one of my heroes. When I was a senior, one of the greatest athletes ever played here was Alvin Tolles. And because of Alvin, we had 8 to 10 scouts every single practice. And Ray Goff was the number one. He become a friend of us all. We call him Ray. We rode to the Elberton, to the famous Granite Bowl. And there's a gym, I don't know if it's a municipal building, but it's sitting up on top of the hill. This is a big, beautiful granite building. We're in there, and Ray comes in with the ugliest Georgia cheerleader you ever seen in your life. Y'all know I'm kidding. She's fine. Now, we rode on a Cheese Hound bus all the way up there without air conditioning. We're not allowed to speak. That's the structure and discipline that we were under. Coach Goff comes in there, Coach Ray Goff comes in there, and he's high-fiving everybody. Just like Dee Dee said, Coach Pitts taped from the right to the left, and him and Preacher Davis was the other person taping. I'm looking at him, and Ray comes in and he starts telling jokes, and a girl is in there. Now, we can't talk for 3 hours. I'm looking around, I said, this just don't make sense. His ears just started turning red. Then they started turning purple. I said, this ain't gonna be good. Ray's talking to us, cutting up with us and all this, and I finally just said, well, if Alvin don't say nothing, I will. So I did this number right here. I said, Coach Goff, like this, we walked outside and I looked at him. I said, Coach, if you don't want to slide down that, there was a granite steps. It went 100 yards, it seemed like. I said, if you don't want to slide down there on your face, you better get out of here. I said, we're the only people in the country can't even talk all the way to a ball game. I was lucky enough to go ahead and leave here. The only reason I played college ball today, the only reason that I feel like that we're in this Sports Hall of Fame is the discipline and structure Coach Pitts gave us. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for everybody that could come here tonight. I could tell you stories forever. I was going to go to Grits in a little while. I was going to let Sonny buy the first round. KB told me if you get in the Hall of Fame, it's kind of like getting a hole-in-one. Sonny?
Make a hole-in-one, you got about the first round.
Yeah, and you're the only golfer, so there you go. I love Monroe County, and I love y'all. I'm thankful that I'm here. It took a lot of bribing to get in here. If there's anything I can ever do for you, I will. Love you.
Brian Watt still here?
Barely.
Some of y'all appreciate this. Can you believe that Toby Washington and Jeff Shiver both live in the same town? He's probably watching live, yeah. 2 linemen from Mary Person living in Vidalia. Brian Watts. Whoa, don't come up yet, Brian. I'm going to say something nice about you. I'm not as good as Frank.
I forgot to mention my wife and my son. I'm sorry.
Toby's not. You forgot to mention you actually ran the football at a college football game too. Didn't you?
What's that?
You forgot to mention you actually ran the football in a college football game.
Yeah, that's one more thing I forgot. One time I got a first down, 8 yards, so that makes me the leading rusher. But what's more important to me is anybody in this room, 4 years of college football, playing Middle Tennessee State, there was 4 starters from Mary Persons High School. It was me and Brent Fisher. In the first year, it was Emmanuel Coles and Danny Brown. For 2 years, and 2 years after that, it was Robert Alford and Roosevelt Coffin. Roosevelt is Thumbo's baby brother. Roosevelt was just as good a football player as his brother. So, the only time I got to run the football, guess who tackled me? Yeah. You know what? Reggie's already left me and Al and Chuck, all the Dee all the football players, they got no hair. So afterwards, we're out to the game, and here we are, and there's this it's kind of like the Monroe County Report in Tennessee. The guy's doing a report, he's talking to me, and he said, "Hey, you ran the football, you did this, that." But we don't, man, it was good. We wanted to change that. I'm more interested in what we're doing next. I don't care about the game. So anyway, Roosevelt, listen, it's important. When you play with your homeboys, I got a picture with Coach Fitz on 2 different occasions with 4 of his former players playing college ball, and all 4 of them got degrees. I never got education either way, but I got one. That being said, after the game's over, Roosevelt's hugging me, Robert's hugging me. We're talking, so I finally said, "Roosevelt, why?" I said, "Why did you take me so I'll let you keep playing that?"
In case y'all missed the punchline, Roosevelt let him get the first down. And he's got a picture to prove it. Brian Watts, Mary Persons football player from 79 to 82. He's the team's kicker and punter. Went on to West Georgia. He was All-South, Gulf South Conference Freshman of the Year in 1983. He was named All-Conference Selection 83 and 84. And in 1985, he booted the longest punt in Gulf South Conference history with an 85-yarder that still stands as a record today. He went on to a career in education and coaching. And Brian, congratulations. Come on up here. We're happy.
I'm used to it.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, I was past my bedtime, so this is going to be. When I was first contacted about this, they said I had to give a speech. Penny said 45 minutes. That's what I heard. It was 4 to 5 minutes. So here we go. First of all, I want to thank the members of the selection committee for putting me up here tonight. I'm very humbled. I'm very honored because to me, I didn't grow up here. I didn't move here till I was in the 8th grade. But to me, it all started for me right here in Forsyth, Monroe County. This is my home. I want to thank my wife, Joanne, my daughter, Madison, my sons, Taylor and Chandler, and their family for sharing this moment with me tonight. You guys are my world, and I love you. Next thanks I want to give to my parents. My mother, always there for me whenever I needed her. My father, some of y'all in this room might know him as Sarge. He was in the Army for 20-something years, sold cars. Sarge is the man that installed in me the discipline so that when I got to start playing football at Mary Persons, it was a little bit easier for me. My daddy was a drill sergeant, so I grew up under the direction of a drill sergeant. And he always told me, he said, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. You know, have pride in what you're doing. You know, don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass who you're working for or who you're playing for. And, you know, being part of the military, we moved around a whole lot. And I grew up all, you know, New Jersey, Colorado, North Carolina. I was pulling for high school teams like the Arvada Bulldogs, the Salida Spartans, the Cotopaxi Pirates. Later on, it was the Roswell Hornets and the West Lawrence Raiders. And while we were in Lawrence County, Dad comes home one day, he says, y'all pack your bags, we're moving again. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all, I didn't know, okay? I'm just gonna say that and you'll see why. I said, well, Daddy, where are we going to? He said, I'm going back home, I'm moving to Forsyth. I said, okay, what high school am I gonna go to? He said, Mary Persons. And I'm like, Mary Persons? Who's gonna name their school after a girl? I mean, Mary Persons. I don't wanna go, you know, why? But that fall of my 8th grade year, this is back when the stands were reversed from what they are now. He took me to a football game, and we sat right near the band. I don't know who the Mary Person was playing that night, but they beat the crap out of them because the band never shut up. And then we were sitting so low that all I could see was like the back of the players' helmets when we were right there on the field. And just watching the game and seeing all the excitement in the atmosphere. We're going home that night, and my dad said, well, what do you think? And I said, Daddy, I think I want to play football at Mary Persons. He says, all right, we need to talk to Coach Pitts. And I'm like, I didn't say it, but I'm like, okay, which one was he? So about a year later, I ended up talking to him, like when I first got to 9th grade, and he got me started playing. Now, I want to move forward a couple years from that. It was after spring practice, my 11th grade year. And my father just retired from the military and, you know, was trying to find his second career. My mother was working at Carter's out there on 41. And I was working part-time at McDonald's. And I was also working part-time for my Uncle Grover at his Chevron station down on Rumble Road. So I had some money in my pocket, you know, and I was feeling kind of good about the way things were going. Never thought about playing college ball or anything. And so I made a decision one day to tell Coach Pitts that I don't want to play anymore. That I need to work to help support my family, which kind of the way I was. So you remember Coach Pitts used to have this trailer out there by the old gym. That was his office. And I'd go in there one day to tell him this, and to say I was scared is an understatement. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't hardly talk. When I finally got out what I told him, he just kind of looked over his glasses at me from what he was doing, and he paused for about maybe 5 or 10 seconds. It might as well have been 5 or 10 hours. I didn't know what to do, anything else to do. And he looks at me and he said, Brian, you got the gas ass. I said, the what? He said, yeah, you just want to get a car and get gas, to have gas money for your car. I didn't say anything. He says, I'm going to tell you this. You have the rest of your life to work. but the game of football is only going to last a few years. So he talked me into staying, and right before I left his office that day, he told me, he says, when the weight room opens the first day of summer practice, summer weights, summer workouts, I want you to be there 30 minutes early. So I get there, and I'm on time. I'm actually early because I didn't want to be, I was on Pitt's time, not my time. And he hands me a key to the weight room. He hired me that summer to open and close the weight room. He paid me to do that. He also paid me to cut, the grass on the football field on that small red Toro mower. It took about 3.5 hours to cut. But I did it, and he paid me for it, and that was the point for me that, getting to know him that summer and spending time with him and running with him or trying to run with him. I really got to know him outside of being a coach. So things go on, and I want to fast forward again to a couple years after that. We're going to go to the summer of '83, West Georgia College. West Georgia had just won the 1982 Division III National Championship. And the 1982 team, some of them left, some of them stayed. Well, in '83, they moved up to Division II and were offering scholarships. So I get a call. I made a couple phone calls, and I got myself a tryout on their walk-on day. They had probably 200, 300 kids that were just trying to walk on to get a spot on the team. We're up here on this one field. This other field down here was the West Georgia, their actual team. They had about 100 players, and plus they already had 2 guys that were punters. And so they put us over in a group. It was me and about 13, 14 other guys that were punters. And by the time we got to go, the West Georgia team had already stopped practicing. Some of those guys had come up to watch. And, if you ever hit a golf ball or a baseball or a softball, sometimes right when you make contact, maybe you don't know about this, but right when you make contact, it's gone. It's a long, straight drive down the fairway, or that ball's sailing over the center field fence. Well, punting and kicking is kind of the same way. You could just tell when it leaves your foot, it's just going to be a great kick. And this particular day in Carrollton, I couldn't do any wrong. I couldn't shake one to save my life. Everything was just flying off my foot. It was just long, 35, 40, 45, whatever distance they want me to kick it. I even nailed one that was in the upper 50s. And by this time, the head coach for West Georgia came over there, and he said, what's your name? I said, Brian Watts. He said, when you get done here, Coach, you bring him to my office. So we got finished about 30 minutes later, and so we go down to the football office, and Coach Pate's standing there, and other coaches kind of standing around talking. There's some other people. A sports information guy was in there, and one of the coaches brings me to him, and he says, tell me, Brian, where are you from? I said, Forsyth. He said, where'd you play high school ball? I said, Mary Persons. I knew then what it was. I said, look, Mary Persons. And Coach Pate looked at me and he goes, Dan Pitts, huh? I said, yes, sir. He said, tell me, Brian, what kind of drills, what kind of exercises did Coach Pitts do to you to make you kick the ball like that? And, I swear to God, the whole office got quiet. Telephones quit ringing, typewriters quit typing. All the conversations stopped. Everybody's looking at me. That's what it seemed like. Everybody's looking at me to find out what was one of the secrets that Coach Pitts had that allowed me to have that talent. And I looked at him and I said, well, Coach, when I was coming out of 9th grade that summer, he gave me an old duffel bag full of footballs and put me in front of a pecan tree and told me to start trying to kick over that tree. That's the truth. Coach Pate looks at me like, what are you talking about? And I said, are you for real? I said, yes, sir. I said, it took me about 1.5 years, but I finally got a ball over that tree. And he just walks off and he says, Coach Pitts, tree. about 20 minutes later, I signed a scholarship to play football at West Georgia. And that's that. That's it. But this journey tonight has been a long one. I know you guys are ready to get home. I am too. It's past my bedtime. My grandson's over there. They're way past their bedtime. But I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. It's truly an honor. And like I said, thank you very much.
All right, don't forget, well, thanks again, everybody, for being here. Don't forget pictures afterwards. As great as the night was, and as something crazy happened, you know, I think the devil might be in here. When Sonny started talking about Jesus, that's when the thing went haywire back here. So, God bless y'all. Thank you for coming. If you're one of the inductees, come up here. We're going to get some pictures. Thank y'all very much for being here.